Welcome to Down Ancient Trails by Sharma Centre for Heritage Education. Today, we'll be exploring the exciting world of Acheulian large flake technology. Stone tools occur at prehistoric sites across the world and were an immensely important aspect of people's daily lives. But how were they made? Maybe you think it was quite simple to make one. After all, it's just a matter of banging rocks against each other, right? You'd be quite wrong to think so. A lot of planning went into making these tools. Let's look at some of the oldest Lower Paleolithic Acheulean tools in India, in particular how hominins produced the large flakes required to make them. Acheulean hominins were skilled at knocking off very large flakes from cores. They made lots of stone tools on these large flakes. You can see hand axes, cleavers, and other large tools made on them. Now hold on. You must be wondering, what do all these terms mean? What's a flake? What's a core? What's the Acheulean? Let's take a closer look. A core is simply any rock from which a flake is detached, and flakes are the pieces of stone knocked off the core. But how can we identify cores and flakes from other stones we see on the ground? Well, they have some unique characteristics that set them apart. Let's take a look. Here's a core that's been experimentally made. We can clearly see that it seems to be missing some pieces. These are places from where flakes were struck off and are called negative scars. We can see similar features on this large core found at a site. Here's a close look at the anatomy of a flake. This is a large flake that's been knocked off a core. Flakes have some features that make them easy to identify. This area over here is called the striking platform and tells us where the flake was struck from. Over here are percussion marks, and these tell us exactly where the toolmaker struck the core to detach the flake. Beneath the platform, over here, we see a bulge. This is known as the bulb of percussion and is produced from the force of the blow. So ventral and the dorsal face of the flake. On this flake, we can see some wave-like striations running down the length. These are known as ripple marks and show us how the force traveled down the flake. Here's a flake excavated from a site. Here, we can see a quite distinct platform and bulb. Now we've cleared up what cores and flakes are, let's look at the Acheulean. This is a cultural phase of the Lower Paleolithic during which Homo erectus migrated across the world. They made characteristic tools and large flakes, such as these hand axes and cleavers. The Acheulean lasted from around 1.7 million years ago to around 300,000 years ago. India has lots of Acheulean sites rich in stone tools, the oldest of which, Adarampakkam in Tamil Nadu, dates back to around 1.7 million years. Before planning to make tools, we need to find suitable rocks. We have to consider the quality of stones used to make tools. Acheulean tools of India were mostly made on quartzite, sandstone, chert, even granite. But since I'm speaking to you from Tamil Nadu, we'll use quartzite, which is the predominant raw material of this region. To make a large flake, Acheulean hominids source cobbles, boulders, or slabs. Cobbles are stones between 64 and 256 millimeters in size, while boulders are above 256 millimeters. Now we've got our raw material, how do we detach large flakes? We need to find a suitable hammerstone. Hammerstones are generally smooth, dense, rounded rocks that fit well in our hands. Hominins selected different shapes and sizes of hammerstones depending on their aims. A hammerstone is a vital part of the toolmaking process, so we must select a good one. Now we're all set up. Hammerstone in our hand and our raw material in front of us. How do we go about flaking? We'll deal here with a few methods commonly used by Acheulean hominins in India. The first step of flaking is to open the core, which means that we have to find a suitable place and angle from which we can begin flaking the cobble or boulder, which is our core. Once the core is opened, the scar left by the removed flake provides an opportunity to remove further flakes. And now we can use the negative scar produced by the removal of one flake to detach the next flake, and so on and so forth until we have achieved our aims. This is known as the bifacial technique of flaking. Large flakes can be detached from even larger flakes. If we strike off a flake from the core which has enough mass, density, and proper curvature, we can strike another flake off it, which gives us another flake with a bulb and striking platform on either side. This is the Combewa method. In this method, the cobble is systematically reduced or sliced, detaching flakes in a sequence. The flakes produced this way were ideal for making hand axes. There exists a range of prepared core technologies, such as the leveler, which involved a great deal of careful preparation of the core prior to detaching a preferred flake. The Chirki technique illustrated here was a specific method for removing cleavers at a site of India's Maharashtra. So, what's done with these large flakes? They could be used as they were, or fashioned into many other tools, like this cleaver, or hand axes, or large scrapers. From the earliest discovery of the Acheulian in India by Robert Bruce Foote in 1863 up till modern research, we've come a long way in understanding how prehistoric stone tools were made. Experimental studies by archaeologists replicating prehistoric stone tool technologies help us gain a better understanding of tool manufacture and to dive deeply into the lives of the ancient hominins.